Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're going to see this. Welcome back to Tumbleweed X. I've been gone for about a month. I apologize, but life happens. It's super hot out here, like stupid hot at the end of the summer monsoon season. Things happen. But what I want to talk to you about today is, of course, it's Tuesday, September 16th, and there has been a lot of events this past month. And food for thought today is going to be a little different because it's a lot of food and I hope a lot of thought. So, we've had an incident in which an individual by the name of Charlie Kirk was shot and killed, assassinated. Prior to that, days before that, we had a young lady in North Carolina who was a refugee from Ukraine who was needlessly attacked on a public transportation and stabbed and bled out. Prior to that, you had the attack up north in that northern state where the individual attacked innocent children in a Catholic school, of which 2 perished. And I can go on. What am I trying to get at? We are seeing attacks. We are attacking each other. And it's not all political. It's not all race driven. But it is over differences. Now, we all have difference of opinions, different political views, different social stances. The one thing that I growing up, now granted, as some of you have seen before, I got a full beard here. We'll talk about that later in another video. I've been privileged to be on this earth for a while, to grow up and travel, live in big city, metro areas, out in the middle of nowhere, rural areas. I've been very privileged to grow up in America, the United States of America. And it is a privilege. Do not take that for granted. Part of that privilege is, of course, the ability for us to have disagreements. We can disagree. We can have a discord. We can have a conversation. We can have debate. But at the end of the day, we were always Americans, we called ourselves. Now we have to be more detailed in our answers and saying we are citizens of these United States of America. But we didn't. Sane, normal, critical thinkers, individuals that stood for moral values. We did not bring violence upon others simply because they had a difference of opinions. We were welcome to debate. All this that's happening and that has happened has brought something to my mind. In 2020, Popular Mechanics had an article. I forgot who wrote it. It was an open discussion in the article, a debate about something that was going across and had become a big deal on the internet. It went super viral and became the foundation basis for argument, debate, and conversation. 2 + 2 = 5. Their argument was how 2 + 2, the number 2, addition, the number 2, equals 5. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it kind of went about trying to justify the thought process of how 2 plus 2 could equal 5. Okay. Critical thinker, practical person, one who lives in reality. In no way do we look at it that 2 plus 2 could ever equal 5. At 2.5 plus 2.5 could equal 5, but not 2. And why that keeps popping into my mind is because, this was 2020, and the epidemic and all that, and it was coming on, and there was a bunch of debate. There was already a bunch of civil distrust and discord. The Trump administration, the election, all kind. I mean, you name it. There was just, but man, this was a very, very, to me, very interesting article. I read it, and I remember bringing it to a lot of people's attention. Hey, you should read this article. What's your take on it? And I look back on it and I think about it now, and the fact that a gentleman like Charlie Kirk, 31 years old, a father of 2 young infant toddlers, a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, a husband who'd only been married for 5 or so years, a devout Christian, a very moral man whose only that I could see, know, and or hear of, whose only, hang up thought thing was change my mind. Debate me. Let's have a conversation. And if you could civilize yourself long enough to actually go look up his videos, the archive videos on Turning Point USA, YouTube channel, you just go to any social media platform and look him up and watch some of the videos. All he wanted to do was have a conversation. All he wanted to do was debate topics, debate issues, have that conversation. Frequently, very frequently, I saw him end conversations on the mics with, well, thank you. Always thanking them. Didn't matter. He thanked them for their time. He thanked them for their input, their perspective. There was even times when he was attacked and he was telling his own security, no, leave him alone. Don't, we're not going to press charges, just leave him alone, let him go. And then there were other times where he was attacked, water thrown on him, things like that, or his cameraman. Okay, yeah, they did have those people arrested and charged. But I guess what I'm trying to say is he wanted a conversation. He wanted it to be civil. He wanted to bring us back to a time when we could all find a common ground, even if that common ground wasn't the topic that we were actually discussing or debating. But that we as individuals, we as people, as citizens of these United States of America could have that conversation, that discord, that debate, but still we would have the decency and respect of and or for each other, that it was simple, that it was just verbal exchange of ideas, of stances, of political alignment, you name it. but it would never result to violence. 2 + 2 = 5. Tying it all together, all this has brought me back to that article because it was the first time I'd ever had a conversation with somebody and I brought it up. I believe they brought it up. And I had said, yes, I've read the article, yes, and I shared my thoughts on it. And that individual became very irate, angry, called me some pretty strong, called me stupid and effing, let's get real. And I was trying to understand, I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I even remember telling that individual, I was like, whoa, time out, hold on. We're having a discussion here about an article and its position on trying to get across an understanding of a position of a portion of our population. And me and you are just talking about that and our own personal position on that and how it relates. How are you, it was pretty, it got ugly. It got ugly. And it got to a point where I actually had told the individual, I was like, well, I understand your position. I understand your thoughts, your feelings. And yes, on this topic, I disagree. But on this topic, and I'd known this individual for about 14 years. We disagreed on a couple other things, but we'd never gotten to this level of ugliness before. And because of that, I think this is why it stuck with me so much, is we had fallen further and further away from each other since that conversation, to where now I would struggle to even call us acquaintances. It got ugly, and it got ugly fast, and it got ugly hard. And because of that, I lost a friend. I lost somebody that I actually used to love to have conversations and debates and disagreements with. And now I look at what's happened to Mr. Kirk and all these other things that are dividing us, pushing us apart, making us use the them and us. Let's get this right. That young man who I had the opportunity to meet and have conversations with was one of the most intelligent, articulated, and well-mannered people that I'd ever had the privilege of occupying and sharing a vehicle with and having multiple great conversations with. And what he's done for the youth movement to make them open up their minds, open up their hearts, to think for themselves and not be a part of groupthink. And preaching the gospel, speaking the word of God. Because that's what he did. That young man, because of a simple disagreement on topics, disagreement on social issues, not even so much political issues, it seems he has lost his life. And this Sunday, They're having the huge memorial service for him out here in Arizona, in Glendale at State Farm Stadium. I understand the configuration from which they're putting together a stadium. It can seat 70,000 people. There are people that are booking with us that are flying in from other states to be picked up at the airport, that are going to this. He was a person who wanted conversation. He was a person who wanted debate. He was a person, like the rest of us, that had his beliefs, his position, and more importantly, his faith. As do everybody. Does everybody. You may not have faith in God, the Lord. You may have faith in other ways, in other manners, but you still have faith. To some, faith is their politics. To others, faith is what it is. But that young man was killed, and I've stayed quiet about it about as long as I wanted to. So I want to thank you for sitting here listening to this rant, and hopefully you get some value from it, because it's funny how something like this, losing such a great mind, can take us back to some issue, in my case 2020, and an article discussion of an article. Anyhow, everybody be safe, take care. Like I said, if you get any value or entertainment out of this, just give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, share this. If you get any other further value, or you feel anybody that you know could get any value out of this, it does help the algorithm recognize us. And I'm back, and the other guys are back, so we'll be putting out some more content. In the meantime, thank you again for joining me. Till next time, please stay safe. Take care.